Okay,
There
so
you go.
tell me a little bit about you, Miss Melissa. Tell me about you, a little bit about your background, and how you came into your purpose, which is what you do now.
Absolutely. So a little bit about me and my backstory, I think would be very privy of me to share with you because it really is the journey on how I've landed here. I have a 20-year career as an entrepreneur in the death and grief care industry. And I loved that career. I worked alongside my mom and dad. We built a very successful business. And I share a lot of information both from the entrepreneur side of the journey and then the perspective at the end of life. And so today, really, a legacy and leadership mentor for female entrepreneurs, really encompassing the woman herself who is outwardly very successful, but inwardly feeling erased, that she is busy in the doing of all. She's leading her family, she's married, she's got kids, she's got a business, and all the fire and all of the dreams that she has forged, suddenly she feels like she's disappearing behind it all. And so the perspective is that I've seen so many end of life stories shared about regrets that I really advocate for regret free living and legacy living. And legacy truly is the woman that you are while building the empire for the generations to come. So that's a little bit
Excellent.
about me.
Okay. Okay. And I think that's a good thing because you also have single mothers and you have women that are single
Hmm.
that there's if you look on social media, it's like, the way that women are represented, the way that there's this division between the old school way of being a woman and then this modern version of being a woman, it's like there's no in
Happy
between.
medium. That's
Yeah, there's
right.
no happy medium.
It's
And
one extreme to the next, where it's, June Cleaver of the doing it all, the housewife, the mom, all the way to now where we sort of embrace the same principles of doing everything, but also building a career and paying the bills and managing the schedules and doing the cooking, the cleaning, the bottle washing, and everything in between. But there's been a disconnect in the level of emotional intelligence too, especially in the next generations coming forward into motherhood, whether they're married or single or whatever. There's a disconnect in the level of motherhood role and what it means to be truly invested in your children and finding your purpose as a mom, right? And that's where the real drive is, to reinstate the belief that legacy is so important. And the legacy is the connection that we're building for the next generations because we're their mirror, right? How we show up is how they're going to show up. How we act is exactly how they're going to act. And so to bring it all back in to this legacy model lifestyle where we can have it all, but we've got to be present and active within it, not just disappearing behind it all.
so do you feel like society gives us that option, honestly? Because you have situations where back a long time ago when my dad was in the military, he told me back when he was going through the Vietnam War, they were actually drafted into the military. They didn't
Mm,
have that choice. And a lot of women, even in the military, because my dad is in the military, a lot
mhm,
of women have to do everything themselves. And I've seen them because I do medical billing. They come
mhm,
in, they know nothing about the insurance, they know nothing about paying the bills. And
mhm,
then they come back and they find out their husband is no longer here, that
mhm,
he lost his life in whatever war or whatever they had going on. And now she has to do everything herself. She
mhm,
knows nothing about paying bills. She knows nothing about how to manage a household. Now you have two kids, one kid, or how many kids. And I
mhm,
feel like that when you talk about that equal medium where that being single comes from, I think you should incorporate the being able to take care of yourself, being able to take care of your bills. Because what if you lose your husband? What if
Right.
you end up divorced? What if you have to raise two kids by yourself and this person is not going to pay child support? They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to do all of these things. And I tell women, I understand you want to be taken care of, but is it because you want a father figure or is it
Mm-hmm.
because something else? So it could be
Mm-hmm.
that. So,
There's a lot
but
of underlying issues there. I think there's a lot at play with that, idea, and that's sort of like a specific type of person. And I think you're onto it, like they want to be taken care of. What is the real underlying belief there? Is it that you don't feel competent to take care of yourself? Or are you, struggling with a level of you shouldn't have to, it's someone else's job, right? And that's a tough one to be graceful about discussing, but it's a real truth, especially nowadays. There's a deep level of an entitlement that someone else should have to do all the things for you, right? And we have adults growing up this way, but the problem is, there again, we're adulting this way, and we're mirroring back to the next generation coming forward that that's life, right? So there's a lot to that at play.
gotcha. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I wanted to have this, quick conversation with you to see what direction that, I would like to go. And I think this is going to be a great conversation because I lost somebody in death as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 16 when I lost that person.
Yeah.
And to lose a person is completely different than just breaking up with somebody, leaving a marriage. And
Mm-hmm.
I tell people that, you can't make amends or make things right to someone that's no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get that person back. And there are millions of people that had a great marriage, had a great
Mm-hmm.
relationship, and everything was going well. And they walked out that door and that person didn't come home.
Mm-hmm.
And the direction I want to go with this conversation is finding that equal balance between being a mother, being a wife,
Mm-hmm.
not losing your identity,
Mm-hmm.
not losing yourself, and feeling
Mm-hmm.
like you have to lower yourself because I feel like everybody needs to grow and evolve, even in a marriage. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs to achieve their dreams and their goals because I feel like when you bring children into it, everything is cut short and everybody's having children between the age 8 years old to um 8 years old to 22. Most
Mm-hmm.
young girls are having babies at that age, they're firstborn. And we don't talk about it from that perspective of, trying to figure out a way to fix it or trying to find a way to make it right or whatever the case may be. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that it's important that we understand that most people have their children very young. And so now they're getting older. It's like you're trying to balance having that child and then trying to get yourself together and trying to raise a child and you have absolutely no experience. You're young
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to, 18, 19 having your firstborn baby, 16 having your own, 14 having a baby. These young girls haven't even experienced life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's part of the problem is the fact that, like I told my mom, I didn't want my son to date when he was younger. I wanted him to wait till he was 18. My son has autism. And when he had autism, I learned that the way they learn is different. He's almost 30 now. And I love the progression because it was slower. And it wasn't like, okay, he's 18, 14, 15, liking girls. He's now in his 20s and he's just now getting into that, which
Right.
is different. And,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that these kids are now being raised to be older and older and older. And now everything is in front of their face,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And so there's no parents being home to guide them because they're in school for 8 hours. When I was coming up, we were mainly homeschooled. These
Mm-hmm.
kids are in school, they have other influences from their friends. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you drop them off at daycare, The daycare worker is the one teaching them how to walk, teaching them how to talk. And then by the time you get them back, they have no respect for you because they're like, well, you dropped me off when I was a kid. So why would I listen to you? Why would I, why
Hmm.
would I let you tell me what to do?
Yeah, I don't know that I 100% agree with that, and I'm going to explain to you why. And I don't think it's really the issue of the daycare or the school and then not having respect for the parent. I think it comes down to where is the parent when you're home?
Yeah,
And
part.
what we're seeing right now, we're raised on this because mom and dad are too busy disconnected from each other and their family. So you're raising yourself on TikTok or YouTube, and there's no connection at home. There, and that's the whole driving force between my mission is that the reconnect needs to happen here. So, yes, you're right. If the parent is disengaged and not doing their parenting work, after school, after daycare, because that's a reality, especially if you're working. You can't be in two places at once. And you could have $1 million income every year, but you're still working, right? So you're not going to be homeschooling, but it comes down to where's the connection when you get present. And if you're not getting present, then that's exactly what you're talking about. The children are losing respect for their parent because the parent is really not even there. They've never really been present. They're not there physically or emotionally to help lead the way, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
And
So,
I
but I
agree.
get you. And there's a lot of people who are in that belief state that, I work with a lot of trauma and grief, right? So I work with a lot of back trauma, childhood trauma, whether it's parental trauma, bullying at school, whatever the case may be. It is these beliefs that we carry forward into our adult life. And that's where we come to have no respect for our parents because we never dealt with the issue at the root, right? This is the whole truth about the work. So, but yeah, I see where you're coming from. Different levels, right? Different levels. But I see where you're coming from. But there again, it's all repairable, right? And it's all about the parent stepping into her role as mom, as the matriarch, as the leader. And that's what it's really all about, right? It's bringing that all home.
Yeah. That's why I like having these conversations with people because then it gives me
Hmm.
and that person a chance to understand each other's points of view. So when we have
Yeah.
these conversations, it's not like we're just doing it and I don't know where you're coming from. You don't know where I'm
Hmm.
coming from. And then you see an argumentative kind of combative type of thing. And
Hmm.
some people like when I watch even celebrities be interviewed, some people
Hmm.
ask these questions and they're just so offensive. And I'm like, you're
Hmm.
you're you're kind of like cringing because you want to have that pre-conversation, and I just thought this was very important. But yeah, I'm
Hmm. Yeah.
definitely looking forward to this because this type of conversation of the mom and dad dynamics, and now the
Hmm.
roles are reversing. Now mom is doing everything, not for some people, and then for others it's like you have dads that are taking care of their kids and they're doing
Hmm.
both of everything. And I just think it's important that with recovery and healing that we understand that even though there's a lot of responsibility on our plate, a
Hmm.
lot of baggage, that we still don't lose ourselves in the process. We
Right.
don't lose our identities into it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Hmm.
Definitely, but if you're interested in doing it, but I would need whatever date works for you, and
Yeah.
then your bio, whatever bio you have, pictures. Other than that, that's all I need from you.
Okay. So I don't know what your schedule is like. My November has exploded. So I've got multiple speaking engagements that I am going to be part of. And at the end of the month, I'm doing a live workshop event. When are you looking to book in?
Whenever you're available.
Oh,
If
okay.
December works for you, then December is fine. I have a regular 9 to 5 job, so anytime after 4:30, 5 o'clock will be good, or anytime on the weekend will be great.
Okie dokie. So then what I might do if we're not in a panic rush is I'll go through my schedule and make sure that it is time blocked out for like 5 p.m. on a day.
Okay.
And I can respond back to you into the email thread. So we've got it all together.
Yes.
Um, and then we'll just make sure. I'm thinking it might be in our best interest just so that I'm sort of like done this season and I'm not, kind of everywhere. If I look towards maybe the first week of December, if you're open to
Perfect.
that. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and make sure that I can block something out. I'll make sure it's good with you, and then we'll go from there and I'll share all the details. Who is your primary audience? Single moms or single women? Is that
It's a combination. I deal with multiple facets of healing, so it's everybody.
okay?
I just
Amazing.
put them on different podcasts because everybody's different. I don't.
Right.
I want every podcast to reach each person in healing in wherever level they are,
Uh-huh.
whatever dimension that they are. So it's a
Okay.
combination of everybody.
Yeah. So what is your like specialty when it comes to healing? Is it like a somatic healing or?
It's about my story was I had issues with health and wellness where I wasn't getting answers. And
Mhm.
then the rejection, the spiritual, it was like all aspects of my life was like everything that could go wrong would possibly go wrong. And when I started looking into spiritual, psychological, emotional, mental, um, I started dealing with each one separately. So I kind of am diverse. So I teach it from multiple facets, but
Mhm.
depending on where the person is in their life and what type of healing that they need, whether it's marriage, whether it's relationships, whether it's family, whether it's your job, it's more or less what is the root of the problem and not just about taking that temporary medication or that temporary something that's going to do that temporary fix. It's now that you know what negativity consists of and how it affects, how do you manage to go through that trauma and that negativity and you still maintain your light? You still maintain you know, your positivity. How do you maintain the emotional intelligence of deciding if this is something worth being reacting in a negative way?
Mhm.
Is it worth it? Understanding that rejection, you have to see things for what they are and not what I want them to be, except when it comes to me. I can
Mhm.
only see things for what they are with me. With this
Mhm.
person, I have to see them exactly for what they are. And then I have to decide, is it somebody I want to deal with? Can I deal with
Mhm.
the consequences, repercussions, and karma of it all?
Mhm.
So I kind of look at it from that way of going
Yeah.
into this hibernation, this isolation, then hibernation, then cocoon, and then you're breaking those bondage, you're closing those chapters, you're letting go of all of that negativity and relinquishing it to be this new person. And now you
Yeah.
have these new chapters. And so when you go back into the world, okay, when I walk out the world, I can't control what nobody else does. I can only
Mhm.
control me. When
Mhm.
things happen, I'm not panicking. I'm not going through anxiety. I'm like, okay, there's a storm I got to
Right.
deal with. I got to sit still through this. I've got
Mhm.
to say it happened. And now I got to figure out how I can move forward, learn from it, coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and say, now I'm going to actually apply these coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And if somebody walks away, rejection, it's okay. Because just because I'm chosen doesn't mean I'm accepted.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's how
Very
I,
good.
that's how I
Yeah.
look at it.
I love it. I love it. And I think there's a lot of similarities too with our work, like going back to the story that we created about ourselves, right? And that's really in a very short couple of words, that's exactly what it is. So I think we're kind of on point with that and the way that we work in the somatic mind and treating the issue at the source rather than surface level hacking and
Yeah,
routine. Right.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, very good. Very good.
yeah. I am
So
really
nice
looking
to meet
forward
you.
to it. You too. It was a pleasure meeting you as well. And I'm glad you took a couple minutes of your time to even
Mm-hmm.
speak with me. And I'm looking forward to it because I think that grief is not just you're literally dead,
Mm-hmm.
but you're dead to where you're just in this. I'm putting everybody else in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm having this post traumatic where I'm just conforming to everything. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're for in your 40s and 50s, you're like, I accomplished nothing.
Yeah,
I, and
it's
now
true.
it's like you're getting that revival. That's why you're seeing so many people now older looking younger,
Yeah.
people that are more healthier than 20, 30 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like being revived and being you go through that crucifixion of your life like Jesus did, and then you resurrect,
That's right.
but you're resurrecting to life
Mm-hmm.
versus letting that negativity that brings you down and that stoning and people trying to take you off your path. Now you know what your path is because you hit that rock bottom. Now
That's
you
right.
don't want to you never want to go back to it. So when you get through cancer, now it's like, how do I maintain not it coming back? How do I
Mm-hmm.
maintain this weight loss? Not just losing weight because I want to get a husband. What is the source of where the weight is coming from? How do we fix it? How do we maintain it? And even though,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we might go up and down, we're still going to go up and down regardless because
Mm-hmm.
negativity doesn't go anywhere. The
Mm-hmm.
point is, how do I say, okay, I'm going through this season of my ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I got to sit still. Sometimes I got to move. Sometimes I got to move in
Mm-hmm.
silence. Sometimes I got
Mm-hmm.
to stay here for a little bit. Sometimes I move here, but I'm going to be up and down no matter what. But the
Mm-hmm.
point is, can I keep an equal medium of that 50%? Even if I move here, even if I go here, I still
Mm-hmm.
will remain here.
Right. Yeah.
You'll have that equal balance no matter what.
Yeah.
And you'll be
Exactly.
able to handle it either way, whether
That's
you're
right.
ups or downs.
That's the biggest part. Yeah.
That part.
Crumble under pressure. Mm-hmm.
That part. Thank you so much for doing this. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem at all. It was a pleasure
And
to
I
meet you.
thank you. You too. And like I said, it's so enlightening. And I learned so much from just this conversation, just this short conversation as a mom with autism,
Mm-hmm.
because there are people that got children with special needs. So that's why I said this is so important because it's not just children. I just say children across the board, we all have, we're not good at everything. And my son
Mm-hmm.
taught me patience. He taught me you have a lifetime to learn, you have a
100%.
lifetime to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we, our society want us to push everything?
Yeah.
We
Fast
have a
pace.
lifetime,
I know.
but
Yeah.
not giving us that balance to be able to grow, evolve, and elevate. So as my son gets older, I'm loving the way he's progressing because
Mm-hmm.
he didn't rush into things.
Yeah.
It just came, the talking, everything just came naturally. And I don't think people understand. You'd be amazed what children with special needs can do if they're
Mm-hmm.
taught, because it's the same thing like we said earlier. If we don't teach our children, they're never going to learn.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
1000%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay, y'all. I am so sorry. I normally would do an introduction, but I had issues trying to post this. It kept stalling. I had to redo it. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let it play. And that was Melissa Barnes. She does the Rise Method. And this is a conversation we will be doing on Friday, and I will be letting you guys hear it. You guys will get to see it. It's gonna be a really, really interesting conversation because the way we raise our children and the lack of life skills that they're not taught, I think is important. And the reason you can't see me because some reason my computer stalls when I couldn't camera on. I'm waiting to get my Mac computer fixed. But I just think it's important that we have these conversations because healing, there's so many different aspects to it. It's not just about you getting over something. It's about maintaining getting over it. It's about not going backwards and not trying to relive certain things and moving forward. But we're always told we have to re something, that RE part, whether it's reactive, re whatever. I learned that we can do things, but do it from a new perspective, do it from a new way of thinking. So I always say I'm going to newly do something, even if I'm doing it for a second or a third time. I'm going to do it with a new perspective. It's just like when you take a test and you don't pass it the first time. And if you go about it the same way, even though you might be retaking that test, you have a new way of thinking. So I want people to maintain their health and wellness, their mental health issues. I want people to be able to move forward and relinquish those feelings, relinquish the pain, the hurt, relinquish all of those things, because those things can't go with you on this new journey. You have to close those chapters completely, and you cannot go back to them. So if you change, everything else around you will change. If you continue to, for example, if you have health issues and you have cancer, leukemia, chronic pain, you got to get to the root of the problem of where it's coming from. And once we get to the root of the problem, then things will get better, because I have another scientist that's a philanthropist. I always say that so wrong. But anyway, they work with nonprofits and things of that nature. And we're having a really good conversation from the quantum physics perspective. So the one thing I love about my podcast is there's so many different parts of healing. And you wouldn't think that science would have anything to do with healing, but it does. So the more I learn from all of these people that I will be having conversations with, you guys are right along with me on this journey, because I'm all about educating myself. And knowledge is not about right or wrong. Knowledge is about you learn from each other, and it's about having a mutual conversation. And so that one was a good one, even though my phone dropped twice. But hey, but in the end, it's not about being perfect. It's not. It's really just about doing something that basically, essentially, is going to make you better. And every day you just continue to be better, and you continue to grow, you continue to evolve, you continue to elevate, and you don't let nothing or anybody stand in the way of your greatness, of what it is that you are trying to accomplish and what it is that you are trying to be. That is just something that's important. And I just feel like that we all have our battles that we have to fight, but we have to learn both sides, negative and positive. Because if we don't know negatively what we're getting into, then we're going to go into it blindly. If we don't learn how to stop letting people manipulate, bamboozle, lead us astray, then we're going to be screwed. So this conversation on Friday, I'm definitely looking forward to. Let me make sure, because I have an actual podcast I got to do on Friday. Let me see which one that is, because I have one that is coming up on Friday, and I think, let me make sure, because I don't want to be wrong. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So the one Friday is with Mr. Peter Stewart. That's Friday. Miss Melissa's is Tuesday. So I'm definitely excited about doing both of these, and you guys will get to hear part 2 of these podcasts. And then there's another one you guys will get to hear from Mr. Brian Power. So that is one that I would love for you guys to hear. But these are people that will be on the podcast that I will be doing conversations with. So, like I said, I'm really excited about these conversations, and they're really good conversations. And like I said, don't I just want people to understand there's many different types of healing, but everybody's healing is different. Some people is gonna be shorter, some people gonna be longer, but one of the three stages of recovery is going to be isolation, hibernation, and a cocoon stage. Because when you get finished, you're going to be a different person. But this time, when you walk out that door, you are prepared, because the isolation is you watching the world and you're not a part of it at all. You're just watching the world. And the hibernation stage is everything that you learn from the world. Everybody wants to go down the red pill and they want to go down that rabbit hole. The rabbit hole to what? Chaos and destruction. So again, you're following people down a rabbit hole that you don't even know where you're going to. You don't even know if this person is leading you or even if the higher power sent that person to you. So it's not about chasing after anything. It's about whatever it is that's meant for you. And when the higher power says move, then you move. When the higher power says sit still, you sit still. But either way, you're going to always have the haves and the have-nots. You're always going to have people that are going to want good people to lower themselves, to build them up. And then when you build them up, they leave you for someone else. So you have to know how to help people without destroying yourself. Being healthy without going back to those old habits. And breaking habits are not as easy as you think. It's hard. But in the end, it's worth it when you see the end result. So if you can maintain your sobriety, if you can maintain your gambling habit, if you can maintain, not having that codependency. So again, anybody can be a counselor or a therapist and talk to people, but we have to start making people act. And that's where coaches come in, because we do both. We talk to y'all, we give you goals, we give you assignments, and that's how, sometimes you have to set boundaries. Those things are important. But, in the end, nowadays, with everything that's going on right now in our society, especially in the US, you're going to have to, because reality is not pretty right now. And people are facing a very harsh reality that some people have faced a long time ago. So there are people out here that will be prepared for the next 3 years and for everything that's happening, and other people that won't. So again, sometimes those negative situations you've been going through are preparing you for something. So don't think these negative things that you've been through are necessarily a bad thing, because they led you to something else. They led you to someone else. Now, did you have to go down that negative road? No, you didn't. But guess what? You survived it. And that's what matters, that you survived and that you got through it, and you're going to be okay. That's what matters. What matters is that you find your way to the higher power. You find your way to who you are, not society's version of you. You. Who do you want to be? You go right back to that kid that says, what do I want to be when I grow up? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be this. I want to be that. That's what it leads you to. So healing and recovery is in many different factors, in many different forms. And there are many people out here that are making changes. And Miss Melissa is one of them. So like I said, I'm looking forward to the conversation on Tuesday with her. And then the one I'm going to show y'all, and maybe, I don't know, I might do, what's tomorrow, Thursday? I might do it Friday and let you guys hear the other one, that the other person that might be on the podcast. But again, I never thought I'd be doing podcasting in a million years. Never thought I'd be doing coaching, but here I am. Because all of my negative situations led me to it. It was something I was meant to do a long time ago, but because I was so, this Captain Save a Hoe, build a bears, build a doll, see feelers, and people pleasers, here we are. So yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and let you guys hear the podcast and let you guys get to experience it, and that's me. But with that being said, I look forward to you guys getting to hear the podcast. I look forward to you guys seeing more of the podcasts that I do. But until I get my Mac computer fixed, it's going to be kind of hard, because on your phone, you can't show the share thing where you can show the video. It would be so much easier if we could. But unfortunately, we can't, because my thing is stalling. So with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button to receive notifications of my videos. So again, here we are. And like I said, it's about maintaining, getting to the root cause of the things that are holding you back from your greatness, whether it be pain, whether it be, relationships, whether it be spiritual warfare, whether it be negative people. But once we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, now it's how do we deal with it? How do we heal from it? How do we recover from it? How do we, make it so we don't continue making the same mistakes? We don't continue going through having cancer and having all of these issues, because the one I'm going to play out in a couple of days, that one was really a good conversation. Because when I tell you we talk about the medical field, oh, we talk about the medical field in a very extensive way. So that one's going to be pretty good as well. But yeah, you'd be amazed how many doctors are changing their perspective. How many doctors are now looking into holistic healing? How many doctors are changing the way they treat their patients? And plus, I found out something very interesting as well. I found out that basically the insurance companies only pay for 15 minutes. So anything after that they don't pay for. So yeah, a lot of your care is based upon if the insurance is going to cover it. And if, I'm going to go more in depth in that. And I'm really going to go more in depth in as far as the billing way of how billing works in the medical field. Because a lot of doctors need to know about this stuff. And I did like 2 episodes. And when I tell you I had a bunch of doctors reaching out to me because they did not know that, you'll be shocked. So again, I really want to get more in depth with the billing and getting into that, because a lot of doctors don't know about the billing process and how much we adjust off as billers. So I think the doctors need to understand the importance of the billers, the referrals, the credentialing people, because we're the reasons you get paid. So between your referral person that does referrals and the person that does authorizations, the person that does billing, the person that does coding, posting payments, the person that does denials, AR specialists, those people are important. They're very important, because those are the people that get you paid. And then not only that, your front desk people, because the way whatever information they get determines how billers can do their job. If how these doctors bill their claims determines how they get paid. If they're credentialed, determines if they get paid. If there's authorizations on the claims, determines if they get paid. So if these things are done correctly, the doctors will get paid. But there's some things about billing that a lot of doctors do not know, that I would like to really really get into. So it's gonna be really interesting, the next conversation I have. So between Mr. Peter and Melissa and Brian and the other doctor that I have, and there's one more doctor that I have that I'm waiting to see about scheduling and some time, things like that. So I'm really excited, you know. So I'm really really excited about the people that I'm bringing on my podcast. So it's gonna be interesting. So I'm very appreciative and thankful to every last person that even takes time to come on my podcast. I'm truly thankful and I'm truly blessed, because they didn't have to reach out, but they did, and I appreciate that. My goal is to actually start having conversations with celebrities as well. That's one of my goals. So, and talking about their healing and recovery as well. So I'm really excited about that. So with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all for joining me for this episode. Again, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button. Until next time, I will see you guys on Sunday when I premiere the actual podcast episode the actual podcast episode with me and Mr. Peter Stewart. And we'll continue our conversation about the mind and the body when it comes to pain, and how the importance of them connecting. So that's going to be a really good conversation. So with that being said, I will see you guys when I debut that on Sunday. Until then, it'll be Sunday at 6:00 will be when I'll do that episode. Well, it depends, because I might be going to, I'll see. If it's not Sunday, it'll be Sunday evening. I just don't know what time. It might be 8 o'clock. I'm gonna say 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time will probably be when I do it. So with that being said, I will see you guys next time. Have a very good evening, and we'll talk later.